Welcome to the Low Tox Life podcast.
And we're coming to an understanding in the healing community that we need to embrace the part that's stuck. It's these parts, family systems, parts theory, that stuck part is a younger self that's angry, it's usually hurt, it's usually frightened. And if we go in and connect with that part, it's almost like holding it on your lap.
Hello, I'm Alex, and today I have a very interesting show for you. Now, many times on the show, we look at a very specific aspect of health and we look at how to support that person with various inputs and methodologies and treatments and therapies. And today is going to ask for you to expand your mind and accept that there is still more to learn, which for me is science in motion. Dr Katherine Willow is a fourth-generation naturopath who has been practicing for 40 years. In our annual listener survey, someone mentioned German new medicine. I had a look at it. I had a look at Dr. Hammer, the founder of it. I had a look at some rather scary, frightening things said about him on the internet that may or may not be true. He definitely was arrested at one point, but something intrigued me was that they were never able to disprove what he was saying. And so from that viewpoint, I wanted to find a practitioner who wasn't necessarily all in on German new medicine and completely blind to any other intervention when it came to things like cancer treatment, for example, but who also had a huge amount of clinical experience, really deep understanding of mind-body medicine, and someone who has had results and who is working to improve the system to try and find out if we can make a stronger case for integrating a therapy such as German new medicine. So from that viewpoint, this is not a podcast that wants you to jump ship on any kind of treatment you're having for anything, whether that be anaphylaxis, cancer. This show is for information and curiosity, and so I want us to all go in with an appreciation for the way Katherine approaches the integration of German medicine, because you will hear that what always floats to the top for this particular practitioner is that you always want to select things that the patient feels are genuinely going to support them in their healing or the treatment of whatever it is they're going through, because that belief piece, the safety piece, are just as important as the therapeutic elements and ways we decide to treat things are. For me, it's one of those conversations that got better and better, and I felt like I just wanted to keep having cups of tea with Katherine and hearing her experiences in clinical practice. We talk about death work, we talk about speaking with people on the other side. It is a huge show. So go for a nice long walk, or this is definitely a couple of cups of tea and a couple of loads of laundry length episode, but I know it will be a very interesting one for us to all discuss once you've listened. I can't wait to hear what you think. Our major partner, AusClimate, is an Australian offer, and they give you 10% off with the code LowToxLife all year round. A question I get asked often is, do I need a dehumidifier, an air filter, or both? And the thing to remember is an air purification helps reduce the toxic burden of your indoor air across all types of things, from pollens, dust mite, mold, VOCs from building materials. It reduces the level of toxins in your indoor air. Dehumidification reduces the moisture in your indoor air, helping you prevent the growth of mold and the contamination of your soft furnishings, clothes, and of course yourself, because when it's over 60% humidity, mold is then given the perfect environment to grow. All it needs is dust particles or any kind of soft furnishing that it can grab onto, and it will literally start its job of multiplying and decomposing things. So dehumidification is for moisture control, reduction, and of course, therefore, the prevention of the growth of mold in your indoor environment. And air purification is for the overall reduction of toxic burden of a multitude of things for your indoor air. So hopefully that helps answer that question. A big thank you to AusClimate for being our partner, and let's get into the show. Katherine, hello, how are you?
Good to see you
It's
again.
great to see you too, and I'm thrilled to have this conversation because we have a listener
So now we
podcast
froze. Oh
survey
my
every
gosh.
year. I put it out there. What do you guys want to hear more
No,
about? Who are the guests that you want
no,
me
no,
to?
no.
What's your wish list? And one of my readers
Okay.
said, "You know what would be great? You've tied so many things together, and I think German new medicine is
Hello?
something that you could add to the picture." And I was curious because I had literally never heard the term German new medicine. And so off I went hunting and I found several doctors around the world, but I also found you and your clinic and your story and a sense of depth that I wanted to explore. And I felt that you could be our trusted guide, not only in that, but as a naturopathic doctor of over 4 decades, coming from a line of healers in your own family, as well as the personal journey of what has made you, even beyond naturopathy, think outside the box and think, you know what, I don't think I have all the tools I think are out there yet. Let's start with that moment for you.
Okay. So my second husband, we had been married a year, was diagnosed with 3 brain tumors, and we pulled out all the stops. I should start with, we put him to bed and did all kinds of naturopathic things, and all his tumor symptoms stopped. No more seizures, nothing.
And what
But,
were those? I mean, everyone's going to be like, what did you do? So I have to ask
oh,
that question.
oh, right. Well, we did some coffee enemas, changed the diet, lots of rest. Um, I don't even remember because it was 20 years ago, but we would
Mm,
have given some remedies. And so within a month, all the symptoms stopped. But because I didn't know German new medicine, I didn't realize at that point we probably had it. It was probably over.
wow.
But instead, we have this image of these tumors eating away the inside of his brain. I mean, that's literally what we thought.
Mm.
We were freaking out. So we had brain surgery, and that's when all the symptoms came back afterwards.
After the brain surgery,
Yes, because of
all
all
the
the damage,
symptoms came back.
right?
Right.
And all the swelling
Mm.
of the for the repair. So 7-hour surgery. So then we decided to go to Germany for hyperthermia treatments at a clinic. And my patient had given me Hammer's first book. And I'm reading it at 1 o'clock in the morning in the plane and going, oh my God, this is what we've been missing about cancer. And because I'm an old-fashioned naturopath who practices by principle, not here's your blood test, here are your supplements, I recognize that these are principles that extend the principles we already know and fit hand in glove to what we already know. I'd already
Mm.
seen cancer patients and gone, you're totally healthy. You don't fit what we were taught. Like it's metabolic, it's deficiency, all of these things. You have none of these things. I think this might be a healing process. You're so well. So
Mm-hmm.
I was totally primed for these new principles. And we landed in Germany and I hit the ground running, calling, calling, calling. Where is Dr. Hammer? And we found him, sent him Mickey's brain CAT scans, and he told us, one tumor is the healing process of a heart issue, which we knew, and he had, and he'd gotten over. The second
Mm.
one was kidney, we knew. The third one was left testicle, but there were no symptoms. As Dr. Hammer told us, you won't have symptoms of this. But Mickey blew a fuse at that point and said his manhood was offended. So I don't want to fight with this doctor. So we lost Mickey after a long, hard struggle. And I had an autopsy done on his body. I don't know how I managed that, but I did. And Came back, the heart, the kidney, and his left testicle was totally ulcerated, just as Dr. Hammer had predicted from the brain CAT scan, which plunged me into a year of studying this. I thought, I need to know. I had 7 pages of single-spaced questions. Like,
Mm.
what about this? What about this? I'm not doing this unless I am totally sure. And then a year later, in 2003, I started to use it in my practice, and it blew my mind. I couldn't believe what we were seeing. Cancer patients with a prognosis of months to live, totally, totally becoming well again.
Wow. So much to unpack here. Okay. Can I just come back to the scan and the prediction?
Yes.
Are we talking about a similar principle of, in Chinese medicine, or the points of the ear are related to a body, or iridology, or the points of the eye related to, is this, when you look at the brain scan, how can they then see different things happening in the body?
It's pure physiology. We
Okay.
already know that these parts of the brain are connected to different parts of the body. It's the nervous system. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, there's
Gotcha.
nothing energetic about it. It's pure. It's like the missing piece on the physical plane.
Mm.
Then we can go energetics, and of course it all connects, but this is purely physical, emotional, nothing to do with meridians or auras or reflexology.
And how did this doctor come up with this? What was his journey of discovery?
Yeah. So his journey was similar. He lost a person, he lost his son, and after he developed testicular cancer. And he made the connection. I was totally healthy. I had this trauma. I got this cancer
Mm.
diagnosis. And he happened to be working on the cancer ward at a Munich hospital. So he went to all of his cancer patients who had reproductive cancers and said, have you had traumas? And they all had these similar losses. And
Mm.
then he thought, well, I'm perceiving the loss with my mind, with my brain. I wonder if we could see something on a CAT scan. And did CAT scans on all of them and came up with these ring formations in the area corresponding to where they had their cancers. And these
Wow.
ring formations had been assumed to be reflections of the machine. And so he went to Siemens, CAT scan manufacturer, and said, I think these are actually biological. And they did some studies and said, yes, you're right, these are actually biological.
And so
And
if
then
we had scanned people who didn't have cancer, those wouldn't have been there?
that's right. That's
Hmm.
exactly right. Because I've
So
seen
this
quite a
is
few scans.
a
Mhm.
unique ring, and I'll put in the show
Yeah,
notes because I think we'll put a picture of one of the scans.
great. Yeah.
Um, because it almost looks, I think when we were speaking recently, like a smoker used to blow like the little, like it
Right.
was a cool thing
Yeah.
to, and
Right.
it just
Right.
feels like it's almost ghost like in
Yes.
in
Yeah.
nature. Mm.
I think of it like a pebble
Mm.
hitting a pond, and then you
That's
have
probably
the
a much healthier metaphor.
oh,
Um,
go for it.
okay, and and so the trauma. I think this is interesting because I am no stranger to people in my own family experiencing a trauma of loss and then getting cancer. And I'd be very curious to ask you now, given I am privy to brain tumors and your family situation, how you then kind of start to see this play out and what the role of trauma is. It always loss? Is it sometimes other types of trauma, like an accident?
Yes. Yes.
A retrenchment when you were 20 years of giving your life of service to a company and and then something hits you in the face, a breakup you didn't see coming, a divorce.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just clinched it there when you didn't see it coming, because
Mm,
that Hammer noticed that it was these rug pulled out from under you types of shocks, Because what happens is that when you can see it coming, you can cognitively, intellectually prepare and catch it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes at you unexpectedly, our primal response, our fight or flight mechanism kicks in. And so it's
Mm.
quite a different feeling to be shocked by something. It's called my
The
therapy.
timing of that cat was exceptional.
This is Mona Lisa. Yes, she
Hey,
helps in the
Mona
clinic.
Lisa.
Lots of stories about her. Yeah,
Wow.
and
Well,
so
yeah.
so what happened?
Mm.
So if you can remember a time when you were shocked, it's almost like you can't grapple for a while
Yeah.
with your intellect, with your higher brain. It's like because that is such a strong response, because all of these responses relate to survival on some level. It could be
Yeah.
territorial, which is more new brain, or it could be more life or death, which is more old brain. And they all have different patterns, which you can recognize. That's that chart behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits together like the periodic table for chemistry. I mean, you couldn't make that up.
No, you could
That the
not.
patterns are so beautiful. I mean, you see, I mean, I'm not religious in particular, but you see God, you see a
Mm.
creator, you see it's magic. And then to
Mm.
see it play out in practice, because I don't use anything just by theory. It has to work in practice or I throw it out. And
Yeah.
it was, I mean, what I saw, that's why I wrote the book. I said, I
Mm.
can't believe what I'm seeing. Somebody, take this, research it. Like we need to get this into the medical system.
Yeah. Wow. And as I read about German new medicine, of course, I also read about critiques.
Yes,
People who just throw it out straight away because it's
yes.
outlandish, it's too risky,
Oh,
you can't,
yeah,
do away with all things conventional just, on a hope and a prayer. But it's not a hope and a prayer from what you're explaining and from what
right.
your clinical experience
Oh,
shows.
for sure. And those critiques also have a good point. This is not a standalone system. We need both. Even
Mm,
Dr. Hammer said for some of the programs, you need the medical system.
yeah.
And especially for people for whom this is new, they can't jump into, oh, I'm just going to navigate this with emotional work.
Mm.
It's not realistic at all. So
So,
I do it in parallel. I do whatever makes sense for that person. Doesn't matter
mm,
about my beliefs, doesn't matter about this. What does that person believe? Where do they feel safe? Because again, if we're looking at all of these responses as being survival based, if they're not feeling safe, if I would tell them, which I don't do your chemo radiation surgery, a lot of people just feel totally unsafe because they've been told you're going to die if you don't do this. I
yeah,
can't tell them. I don't go there. We look at prognosis for everything, for the disease with treatment, disease without treatment. What are their common sense? Sometimes we can watch and wait with the blessings of their oncologist, because I do a lot of cancer work. So that's my main context for this. But I,
mm.
I really try to work together. So they feel then held by both sides. So
Which I
often the
think is
what
the ultimate, it's the
sorry.
ultimate place to arrive. I think people spend so much time thinking they have to choose a camp
Hmm.
at the expense of a genuine sense of moving forward
It's
towards,
terrible.
yeah,
It's terrible. It's like being
yeah,
put into this,
mm,
and it makes everything worse.
hmm.
Yeah, I never criticize the medical system. It's not,
And
well,
it's not helpful. It's
no.
also not helpful to criticize anything that might be helpful, such as naturopathic medicine and German new medicine. That's what
Right.
I find
Yeah.
interesting. Is a huge portion of both sides of the spectrum that spend so much time arguing and creating
Hmm.
polarity that doesn't
Yeah.
need to exist.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel very called to try and join these two ends over time.
Can I ask, Catherine, how it's been to work with conventional oncologists through these cases?
It's a whole spectrum. So from, you know, don't listen to that naturopath, you know, they're only taking your money, to, you know, what would you suggest? What would help with the chemo?
Mm.
That's sheer joy to work
Yeah.
together. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good for the patient.
Yeah, I have a friend who was a
It's
guest on the
fun.
show who's got a naturopathic oncology specialized clinic here in Australia,
Oh, nice.
and it's her mission to get to that place where
Hmm.
there's mutual respect
Yep.
and let's all work on the same team for the person who would like to
Yep.
feel better. Thank you.
It's coming. It's coming. It's
Agree.
inevitable. It's
Yeah.
inevitable as people realize what a naturopath can do and what German new medicine can do. And as these things are taught in an integrated way, people just have this many more choices in a relaxed manner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned the word safety and
yes.
the need for a patient to feel safe.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you could step us through in a bit more detail the practice of analysing a scan, how German new medicine sees pathology, because I'd imagine it's not just, oh, your such and such count is down and your this is. I'd imagine there's a different way that all of those tools are used. Can you share a little bit of nerdy detail on that front?
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm very nerdy. So
So are we. Yeah.
I just spent an hour going through somebody's reports. So she has a certain kind of breast cancer, and so I look at the scan, and the scan tells me that there's not a lump. This is a ductal, DCIS, ductal in situ. And so it says instead of a lump, you have a cluster of calcifications. And so in German new medicine, that tells me that there's been a separation in healing and that it's done. The calcifications within Dr. Hammer's understanding said that it's over, because there are two kinds of cancer in German new medicine. One is where the organ or tissue is growing while the person is still stressed. And the second is when the tissue is in repair once they're healing. Because there are two types of patterns. One is where as I said, there's growth in the active, the stress phase. And the second pattern is when there's ulceration in the active phase, which you wouldn't notice. It'd be like a hole in the bone or an ulcer in the stomach, but mostly you wouldn't notice them. And in the healing phase, the first pattern, that lump or the growth would stop. If there's the proper kind of bacteria that would degrade it. So that's old brain. I know this is a lot of technical detail, and I don't
It's
usually
fine.
tell my patients too much.
Mm,
Just as a segue, I used to spend an hour explaining all of this, and they forgot it by the time they went out the door. And by the time they
yeah.
came back, they had it reversed 180 degrees. So I spent
So
now
it didn't matter.
3 minutes. That's why I wrote the book too. So you go home and read this and bring back questions. So again, going back to, that's the old brain pattern. So back, the more survival, life and death issues, the old brain sits back here. So growth in the stress phase, stopping growth and degradation in the healing phase. In the new brain pattern, it's ulceration in the stress phase, and then repair in the healing phase. So that would be a healing phase tumor. There'd be a repair and it stops growing on its own. So that the ductal breast tumors or clusters are healing,
Right.
stop on their own. So this tumor has already stopped. So then I
How
look
do,
at
so how do you know? What do you see to know that?
when there are calcifications. But
Got
I
it.
am very conservative about that. So that's what Dr. Hammer says. That's what German New Medicine says. I will say, let's watch it. Has it really stopped? Is this true? So then I'll look at the blood work and I see that the white blood cells are slightly low. low normal. And that in German New Medicine would be a little bit of self-devaluation, not feeling good enough in some way. And I look at iron is also low, which also relates to some self-devaluation.
When you say self-devaluation, is
Mhm.
that an emotional?
It's both emotional and primal. So
Mm,
in the German New Medicine, it would be initiated by a shock or usually a series of shocks. Usually, many families, in fact, our whole culture has a lot of self-devaluation. It's based on
mm,
achievement, on looks, on all kinds of things, it, instead of inherent self-worth. So most people have pockets of self-devaluation. Some people have like general self-devaluation, like I'm not good at anything. I'm just a schmuck. I'm awful. I'll take a side track on that if you would. So I
yeah.
had somebody come in. She was 80 and she had just lost her husband. And on the day of his funeral, she got joint pain in every joint in her body. So she came in with her daughter and they were telling this and they were expecting me to say, that's related to grief. And I said, it's not grief. I said, that man put you down in every way possible and you're now going to recover because he's dead. And they looked at me in utter shock, their mouths hanging open. My hair's all standing on end remembering this. And she would silently
That
look
was
at me.
bold, doctor. That was bold. And
Well, I've seen this so often.
mm,
These principles work out. To me, they're like gravity. Really, I trust them. And I could see it also. You can see when somebody has devaluation that's that deep. You can see it. And she just silently nodded. I said that, well, this is a healing thing. It'll take 6 to 8 weeks and it'll pass. It's that's a great example of where German New Medicine reframes something 180 degrees and gives us a way out that's totally different from even what a naturopath would have said, or
hmm.
me as a naturopath would. I would have assumed that that would have been grief,
Can I share
30 years
something
ago.
super kooky?
Yeah.
I figured you're the kind of gal who's going to go, yeah, that tracks. So so when you said joint pain all over their body, I have a
Mhm.
distinct memory around the age of 46, I think I was. I know exactly where I was sitting, where I realized everything in my body hurt and I was sad and I did not know why and I could not figure it out. We had just had a series of house moves due to avoiding mold, a very mouldy city, badly built and maintained buildings here in Sydney, unfortunately. And so the ups and downs of finances, the grief of, oh God, we're going to have to get on and then the actual physical toxicity that you're dealing with and the symptoms that come along with that. We had finally come to a safe place and a place that I really did feel very safe. And then this pain all over my body, and it lasted about 3 weeks, and then it was done.
There you go.
So you're
But
telling me that something like that in the German New Medicine framework
mhm,
was healing.
healing. Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. So again, I'll segue. This is why fibromyalgia is so hard to treat in a
Mm,
in the regular way, because they're seeing it as a disease, and that reinforces I'm not okay, and it just keeps
yeah.
looping. I've taken fibromyalgia patients, and in one visit, their pain is 50% less by the next visit, and then it's done in a month or two because we're reframing it as this is a healing process, and we just let it finish. It's that simple. But if you don't know that, all these pains are going to make you feel badly about yourself. Loop, 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 loop.
Mm. So symptom comes, attached to symptom, panic about symptom, solve
Exactly.
symptom.
And that's very common also with joint pain. Joint pain is
Mm.
also, as I said, a healing symptom, but it makes us feel badly because we can't function as well, which is why we feel badly in the first place. Oh, I was criticized for not functioning well. And now I really can't function well. And it loops. There's our chronic disease. We call it a hanging healing. It's the most common situation for all of our chronic diseases. So if you take what my old training as a naturopath, okay, we're going to check the deficiency, check the toxicity, check all of these things, give all these supplements, change the diet. You don't need to do any of that for the
Whoa.
exactly. Now, I do it
Whoa.
anyway because it's good for general health, but
Yeah.
you can do it in a very basic way. You don't have, I usually take away 80% of people's supplements now. It's just irritating the body. It's usually often way too many. So it's a wonderful way for me to practice. I love practicing like this. Not only does
Because
it
you
work,
don't
it
put
costs people.
people into the ground on their finances, let alone,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
It's shorter,
Mm,
it's less expensive for people, and it works. Now,
mm,
that's in the optimal. I don't want to, you know, hide the fact that sometimes this is very difficult. I mean,
mm.
that's the textbook case. I get a lot of people who are not textbook cases, and I have to handhold for years. And they want to stay on their supplements, they want to stay on their drugs. I don't touch that. I just keep working with both and just gently we work. And I'm really good at that because I've had to be really patient with my own situation. It took me
Mm.
decades to become well. I was a mess in my 30s. Now I'm close to 70 and I have more energy than I've ever had in my adult life.
Wow. Share a little more detail into that journey.
PTSD,
Mm,
complex PTSD. Now, in German new medicine, when you have two shocks that are on the same brain level, instead of having two physical responses, it'll go mental. It'll snap people into what is called a constellation, which is basically mental illness. So I had 7 constellations. I was off the map ill. I was diagnosed schizophrenic as a teenager.
my goodness.
And then my grandmother in Germany told my mother, send me some of her blood. Found out that I had no trace lithium in my blood, sent me a homeopathic lithium remedy, and all the voices stopped in my head. I had still had lots of other mental issues. I mean, it drove my family crazy. I was a terrible mother to my children. And now I have this grandson that I'm very close to. I have all these young people in my life that see me as a mother figure. I mean, I am so happy to be alive.
Well,
Yeah,
and is that the joy that I feel in your, like you have a lightness
absolutely.
about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
mean, I have a lovely spiritual path. My work is, I mean, blissful. I love doing this work. And I have this community around me also. Because before, I couldn't connect with people. I was totally dissociated.
Mm.
I was gone. And now I have this wonderful people I can connect. Yeah, I couldn't have imagined to be this well a
And where
couple of
did
years.
naturopathy and the study of naturopathy come into the picture for you? Was the lithium moment, that homeopathic remedy, something that kind of started to make you think, hold on, what could I do? All of October, you have 15% off at Block Blue Light, and this an international offer. Your code is LowToxLife, and you can head to blockbluelight.com. They help you keep blue light out of your evenings, keep you from experiencing computer blue light strain during the day, and have a bunch of lighting options, mask options for sleeping to keep that light junk out overnight and allow you to get deep rest, as well as super high quality red light panels, which the research shows us helps for tissue, joint, muscle, bone repair through to mitochondrial support, energy, inflammation, and even hair stimulation and skin support for things like eczema, acne, psoriasis, dermatitis, also rosacea. Enjoy that 15% off with code LowToxLife for October. It's an international offer. Let's head to the show.
Well, that's a funny story because when I was a teenager, I went to work with my grandmother, and then
Mm.
in my 20s with my aunt in Germany, to what to where she had somebody with a blood clot in his leg. This is my aunt, and sent me to the pharmacy for leeches. which she's set on the blood clot, and then told me these leeches will take this blood clot away in 3 days. The drugs take 6 weeks. And at the same time as she was doing that, she would take people's blood and put it through this space age ozonator and
She
to
was ozonating blood?
back it like that was I was like 20, so 50 years ago
That's
she was doing that.
pioneering. I mean,
Well,
people are
in
paying thousands of dollars for that at
yes,
integrative medicine clinics these
well,
days.
in Germany, it's so much further than we are here.
Mm.
I mean, and it has been for decades and decades. And I swore to myself, I'm never going to do this. I don't want to sit and listen to sick people all day. And went for Montessori teacher training. That's what I wanted to do, work with kids.
Mm.
And burnt out just before I graduated. My father went, you go and study something proper now. I said, okay, I'll be a naturopath, kicking and screaming. I remember writing on
Really?
my application, I'm going because my father's making me.
Oh, wow.
And third year, I quit. It's only my spiritual mentor said, you need to go back to school. You're just scared.
Mm.
And then it took me a few years afterwards. And I said, okay, I hate this so much. It was January. I'm quitting in June unless something happens. Kind of. And in May, I took a course and I've never looked back. It's
Wow.
auricular medicine, which I don't practice, but that practitioner lit my feet. Okay, that's it. Everything changed. So,
So it feels almost like your journey of study, your professional study,
mhm.
um, was part of your own breakthrough
Yes, absolutely.
health-wise.
I
Mm.
am very much a proponent of we are the most important remedy as a practitioner. We ourselves, our energy, our frequency, our ability to see people because of our own work. When we've done a
Mm.
certain amount of work, we can see it so instantly. So I was able to tell that woman, you've been put down. I could see it. It wasn't a leap. It was right there in front of me because I had done that work in myself. And I often share my own process with people so that, I'm just a person sitting next to you.
And I think that that humble imperfection of a great healer
Mhm.
is why people can be so good at helping other people. This purity testing, perfect pedestal guru stuff, it's
Yeah.
all fake.
Well, it and it
Mm.
it it re-triggers I'm not good enough. I'm not never
Yeah,
going to be good. You're up there, I'm down here. So right
yeah.
away I put myself, right. Like I'm saying this for myself. I'm in the same process as you.
Mm.
Struggling with modern life, struggling with my habits, struggling with my mental self-talk. It's true. I am. Maybe a bit further along. That way
Yeah.
I can help. I can encourage you.
Can we come back to that fibromyalgia person? Because
Yes. Yes.
this is
I've had
something
several.
that
Yeah.
is prevalent,
Yeah.
MECFS, fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
And I've been fascinated by neural reprogramming
Mhm.
techniques, things like the
Mhm.
Gupta program, DNRS. There are a lot of ways we can kind of hijack surpass
Yes. Yeah.
conscious healing and hit the subconscious. And I think there's a lot to be said for it. But you
Agreed.
said in one visit,
Yes.
50%
Several
better.
times. That wasn't just once.
Yeah. And so,
Those
what is
people
happening
ready.
in that
Yeah.
session?
Those are people who are ready to hear it. Those are people who kind of know fairly close to the surface, I'm okay.
Mm,
They're ready to be okay. I have other people who have the message, I'm not okay, from deep down, and it takes a lot longer. And I'm very much a team player. I'll notice right away I'm not enough for this person, or I don't have the tools. I'm not enough. It's not a very good way to say it. But I don't have the tools for this person. We need
right.
extra tools. And often I'll send people I'll send people to all kinds of other practitioners and no one will be able to help them. I really noticed now this pattern where I won't waste people's money. I'll go, they're not ready. And I'll say that to them so that they can then make decisions.
Mm. That's so
Okay.
powerful. I mean, an experience of that on a personal level in my 20s. I tried to quit smoking maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
And then I was ready. And then I happened to find a copy of Alan Carr's book in one of those $1 secondhand, and then you read the book. And while you're reading the book, the last chapter is the last cigarette.
Ah, nice.
And for some reason, it was that time and I was ready. And then, and then all of it actually lined up for me
Right.
to give up.
Okay.
And I think I really, it went from I want to this is me. I am a
Yes.
non-smoker. I am a well person in the
Hmm.
case perhaps of chronic loops.
So I would never approach smoking the way that naturopath did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because
tell me
let's say
about
the person,
smoking.
because let's say that person wasn't able to quit, they would then have a life or death shock that would basically
Oh,
pre- predispose to lung cancer. Because lung cancer
uh-huh.
is here. It's not from smoking. And I've talked to several hospital nurses about that. They said, yeah, most of our cancer patients have never smoked.
Mm.
We don't see that correlation.
Isn't that fascinating?
It's very fascinating.
Well, she
And
wasn't talking about lung cancer actually. She was actually just talking about the
grime.
the grime, the
Yeah, yeah.
stuff
Well, that's
that
true.
it
But
just kind
still,
of grossed me out. And I was like, yeah,
yeah,
that
but
is
still,
gross.
I
We didn't
wouldn't,
even say cancer actually, now that I think about it. So,
I
yeah.
still wouldn't do that
Mm,
because I don't want to come from a place of fear.
mm-hmm.
That's always going to harm the person. Now, you were totally ready, so it didn't matter.
Mm,
But if somebody, let's say they're not totally ready, I'm just planting fear in them. So every time they light a cigarette, they're imagining. What I do is I say, when you're ready, you come tell me. In the meantime, you are self-medicating. You're calming your nervous system. You enjoy. And then the
mm,
body can handle things a lot better than tightening. Of course, then you're going to, we hold toxins where we have emotional tension.
mm.
So if we're visualizing the lungs, resisting and we're harming our lungs, we're creating tension in our lungs. It's going to hold the grime as
That
opposed to
reminds me of when I
pushing it.
had pneumonia and I went
Ooh,
to the
right.
ER. This was a
Okay.
couple of years before, and the
Yeah.
ER doctor, I thought, oh, they're gonna ask me if I smoke. Anyway, he said, I can see that you smoke, because it was right there in the X-ray. He said, now is absolutely not the time to be trying to give up.
For him. I've seen like when people stop smoking, they can have a lot of lung detox, a
Mm,
lot of infections.
yeah.
So, as part of the process. So gradual is good for a lot of things,
Mm,
including healing emotional shocks.
okay.
Sometimes when an emotional shock is very old, childhood, and very deep, if we heal that too quickly, those lesions in the brain that we talked about at the very beginning are concentric circles of cell loss.
Mm,
And it's not brain cells, not nerve cells, it's glia, the connective tissue that packs the brain. And so when we heal something, that cell loss grows back. That's what's diagnosed as the brain tumors, is that healing. And so, but if we, and you can see sometimes there'll be a little ring formation. Sometimes the ring formation can be in the whole brain. It encompasses the whole brain. And in that case, every time there's a healing, no matter where it is in the body, there's also water retention. It's like we need water to heal things, whether to flush out toxins or to regrow cells. So you can think of it as plant seeds almost, or I do. And so in the brain, when we have that water retention, there's no place for it to expand. If it's too much, you'll have brain edema that can do quite a lot of damage to the point of very severe symptoms. So
I
so
feel like
slow, sure, but on the
I feel
energy
like I
level,
need to understand that better.
yes. But I want to say one more thing because that's on the physical level of
Yeah.
German New Medicine. If we expand our context to include energy, I'm going to tell you a story. So again, segue. So I'm at a house concert and the lead singer collapses. So I
Hmm.
drag him off to a bedroom, lie down beside him, and say, okay, what's going on? So he has throat cancer. And that week he's scheduled for having his jaw and his throat on one side removed. And he has 3 months to live. So I do a lot of death and dying work. Like I have stories that are mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
I think, okay, I will help him pass gracefully. So I do Reiki and I talk about do my death work and don't expect to see him again. So 6 months later, I go to a barn concert and he's playing in the band. I'm like, yeah, that's the same person. And he sees me, stops the music and goes, Katherine Willow saved my life. And I'm like, shh, come and talk to me. And he afterwards he said it was all gone. I went to have the surgery. There was nothing there. He had no brain edema, no healing symptoms, nothing. My hair's all standing on end again. It never came back. That was half an hour, Alex. And it wasn't me. I mean, that's not what I do. That was
Mm.
his faith. He was a simple man, not very educated, and he thought I was this high healer. I wasn't. He had this vision. The room turned blue, the Mother Mary came in. I mean, I don't do that. He did that.
Hmm.
His faith healed him, which we
And
know is possible. But so I just want to reassure you and any listener, there's this, I feel, is maybe the last piece of material or physical mind body information that we needed to then move into the energetics with the proper understanding of what we're healing, why. So in other words, we're not fighting ourselves in these bodies programs, but energetically we're also correct so that we learn to use energy. For me, that's the epitome of healing where we need to go because we're
and
bypassing this physical
the
symptom.
part where there's deep faith
Yep. And
from the person.
we need to include that in, well, I mean, a lot of people do in the basic healthy lifestyle is cultivating faith. So how I understand this at this point is that, German New Medicine has given us a final piece of understanding on a physical, emotional, mental plane, how this works, how disease works, and how it's the body trying to help itself. Then when we add energetics to it, we have tools which we're developing, which help us use this more and more safely.
And where would you say we are at in the trajectory where it really does start to feel like we're using the safest tools?
I would say if we have one of these exponential graphs, we're there, kind of just ready to take off. We
Hmm.
have started to take off, and it's good. I think it's going to be very quick. So that part of the graph is a quick rise.
What do you think needs to happen in the health system? It's a big question to actually start to climb that.
It already has started in the
Mm.
sense that I know of quite a few hospitals, quite a few medical clinics that are already starting to integrate. I think that what needs to happen most, my belief is that if we had one hospital where a professor would be interested in researching German New Medicine, because it's very easy to research. You get a few
Mm.
CAT scans and a few histories, and as Dr. Hammer said, it's statistically impossible to be able to predict scan trauma and where it responds in the body. So you'd have, let's say, even 10 as a pilot project, and they've done this in Europe, and then repeat it. That's the foot in the door. if it comes from the medical system itself, it's good. That would take away this German new medicine versus normal medicine. We have it already in the system. So it comes from, so it's not
It
going to
comes
fight.
from the tools that are already being used.
Exactly. So it
That's what
needs
it's
to
got
come
going
from
for it.
research. It needs to have some solid research, which will be easy for medical people. They have those tools available. So that's one of my goals, is to approach our medical schools in Ottawa, or school, and find the professor who would be interested, who's looking for this. And hope,
Something,
sorry.
something that I want to come back to, because I think it's really interesting, is the part where when German new medicine doesn't work, let's just
Yep.
say,
Yep.
is there a correlation that's worth exploring in that the patient is ready to heal?
You've pinned it. It's the crux. So, and yeah.
It's delicate, right? Because it could so easily teeter on the edge of victim blaming to suggest such a
Yes.
thing.
Yes, yes, yes. And what I say is it's not it's the human condition. So we're all victims, or we could see it as we're all in process. And this takes, depending on your philosophy, lifetimes or generations, we're in process. And so if we blame ourselves, we're adding damage. So I confront people. It's like, don't go there. Don't do this. And of course it's not as easy as that, because when we have deep-seated emotional stuck places, it's not cognitive. That's why we do healing groups, we do mini retreats, we're looking at getting underneath that, and we're coming to an understanding in the healing community that we need to embrace the part that's stuck. It's these parts, family systems, parts theory, that stuck part is a younger self that's angry, it's usually hurt, it's usually frightened. And if we go in and connect with that part, it's almost like holding it on your lap. Just if you have a child and they're crying and you hold them on your lap, they stop crying.
You feel
after.
the release. Yeah.
So we teach people to go in and do that with themselves, with their parts. And easier said than done. It's like touching a hot iron to feel those childhood fears. Because at that point, it's life and death. Mummy's not here. I'm going to die. I can't survive without mummy. So when we feel, and as we grow and become more adult, we've packed those down in order to function. And in our culture, how are you? I'm fine. There's no place. Pack it down again. So it's like an archaeological dig to even get to those places. So that's why I'm so excited about the energetic aspect. Bioelectronic machines even. I'm not very good at them, but I see other people, bypassing and gently helping the body energetically switch, rebalance bit by bit.
Do you feel like part of why German new medicine is exciting is because it's about unlocking what needs to happen, and then there's agency for a patient to explore how they are actually going to do that? Like, I think of amazing methods. You mentioned the machines and those working for people. I think of Dr. John Demartini's work with the Demartini method, where you kind of take things that have happened in your life and actually turn them into thankful blessings, rather than, by deconstructing them very, very deeply. And I remember doing the breakthrough experience and thinking, oh shit, I'm not going to have a breakthrough. I'm not having my breakthrough. And then he's like, it's there. We're going to find it. It just kept going. And then I burst into tears and had the best cry I've ever had, and really did. and really did pinpoint something in my life that I had as a negative, as a victim thing, this wasn't as good as it should have been for me as a little girl. And then there was the blessing. And it was fascinating how hard it was to get there and yet how effective it was when I did. So I think it feels like there's a lot of permission to go on your own journey here.
There is, and still a lot of people can't do it. So I mean, I'm like a general practitioner. I live in a rural setting, and I have a lot of people who come to me who've never heard of German New Medicine and have never done inner work. And some of them still can, they just have common sense and they're connected to themselves. They can do it just fine. And others, as I said, it's years of hand-holding, and still they don't have it because there's just too many layers there, and not even, and you know, while we're here, there's also the practical detail that the biggest factor in health is money.
Thank you
It
for
breaks my
bringing that
heart.
up.
So we do
Yeah.
everything possible to make things accessible for people.
Mm.
We'll treat them for free. We'll offer free support. I'm training somebody who gives support sessions for $35.
Oh,
And if they can't pay that, then they get them for free. Like, how do we do this? How do we do community groups? How do we really are trying to create a system that supports everybody within being a general practice, obviously not hospital level. So yeah,
that's it's so special because anyone who has experienced chronic illness, I mean, for me, I lost like all of my savings to chronic
yeah,
illness, trying to
yeah. There you go.
heal and think,
Yes,
okay, this is another protocol I got to try, and a this and a that, and another gut healing thing, and another. No poo-pooing anyone or anyone doing work that they genuinely
no,
feel helps people,
agreed.
but the
Yeah,
reality is, it can take a lot of digging and a lot of cash to
yeah,
get to where you feel safe to heal.
right, right.
So thank you for bringing up
Yeah,
both the privilege in that and the fault in that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they coexist. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes me so committed and excited about my work, because I've broken through, at least to where I am now, and it's so good that, I mean, it's a very common experience when you've turned something awful around to just want to share it. And
Yeah.
the joy that comes with being able, I'm so lucky to be able to be in the position to offer this to people. I mean, some practitioners can't.
Yeah.
They're over, they just can't.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
don't want to. So,
Yeah. There are a lot of
so,
constraints.
yeah.
Catherine, can we talk about something light?
Yes.
Lighter, like some
Great.
fun, kind of playful aspects to what you've discovered in
Yeah.
the practice of German New Medicine, because I know allergies, for example, I mean, and I'm not
Yes.
trying to
Oh,
belittle
this is a
people with
good one.
allergies as having something light, by the way, because I understand that severe
Well, compared to
allergies can
cancer,
be.
it's light.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with this. And there's so many things that allergic people have to stress about or
Yes.
feel on the daily. So, talk to us about some interesting, spontaneous healing around allergies and what you can
Okay.
attribute it to.
Okay. This is pretty short. The premise is, and it comes from German New Medicine, that allergies are triggers to an old shock. So, in other words, it's not the physical irritation or reaction of the substance or season or whatever people are allergic to. It's the association with a shock. So, the first thing is just to explain that this substance season is totally healthy and fine. It has nothing to do with your allergies. You experience something. And many German New Medicine practitioners have to get what the shock is. I don't even do that. I just cognitively separate. And then I'll do some kind of procedure that helps the person lock that in. But some people, I just have to tell them that. I remember
Mm.
having a man who was, 50 pounds underweight and so sensitive to all this, like he couldn't eat anything. And I just told him this. And by the time he came back, he was eating everything. He had gained 10 pounds because he just got it. There's nothing wrong with the food. This is a stress reaction.
Hmm.
And so one of my favorite stories is the cat story. This is where the cat comes into play. So I have therapy cats. And a woman walks in, sees the cat, and freezes. And I went, cat allergy? She goes, yes, but I love them. I said, you want to treat it? She said, you do that? I said, sit down, plunk the cat in on her lap. And so then for her, I used tapping. So I explained the premise and I said, now we're going to tap and we're going to calm your nervous system so it doesn't react to the cat anymore, which is not totally true, but partially true. So we tapped. I said, oh, you're not reacting. She said, well, I have to pat it and rub my eyes. And then that's where I would get shortness of breath and red eyes. And I said, no, you won't. Pat it and rub your eyes. She said, so she patted it and rubbed her eyes. We sat and looked at each other. I said, see, no reaction. An hour later, she's walking out the door. So how are your lungs and your eyes? They're totally fine. She comes back 2 months later. She's been exposed to all kinds of cats. It's done. 10-minute cat treatment, cat allergy treatment.
Wow. And
But
so,
celiac responds to that. So
huh,
that is so interesting because even before German medicine, I'm thinking celiac is not something we're born with. That should be treatable. And nobody was curing it. They're all
mm,
like, oh, can't eat all of this. And I'm saying, no. I just told my patients, this is totally treatable. You should be able to eat wheat. And pretty soon they were eating wheat. And we did the same thing with anaphylactic allergies. I
and
said,
you're
wow.
tapping with all of them, or you're doing mixing it up?
No, I would just tell people that they could eat wheat that gradually, and I would just do general naturopathic things with them to heal their digestion and their adrenal glands and well, whatever they needed. And so, and I said, as you get healthier, you'll be able to eat wheat again. And they did. And so that was a good, I was already doing that before German medicine, also with anaphylactic allergies. I
So,
was doing that before I even knew German medicine because I intuitively figured it out.
wow. And
It was very
so
fun.
let me just see if I even come close to understanding this. So you are basically in some cases where there's anaphylaxis, autoimmune experience like a celiac disease,
Yeah.
you're setting up the stage for health with naturopathic principles and treatment in some cases here.
I don't even do that anymore.
Right.
I just go right into
You cut to the
all in
chase.
your head.
Wow. And and so what happens when someone is born with a peanut? Let's just say, the first peanut
Yes,
and boom,
yes,
they're
yes,
anaphylactic.
yeah.
So is
That's what
that
happens in the womb.
is that an inherited trauma? Is that what we're
No,
saying? What
no,
is it?
it's something that happened in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
We hear everything. We experience everything our mother does when we're in the womb. I have some great stories about that, but they don't pertain directly to this. So,
Oh, well, I'm up for a segue that doesn't really make sense
okay,
if you are.
okay. So this is my own
Because
story.
it's interesting because there's a lot of
Yeah,
mums out there with the babies are born and then they've
yeah,
got these awful allergies and it consumes their lives.
yeah,
There are many in this community.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Well, this is just a story that shows how embryos take everything in. So I'm 2 months or 1 month pregnant. So basically, she's this big, and I don't know I'm pregnant. And I'm at a workshop with this amazing music. I am so taken by this music. I, and I took a balloon, put it under my t-shirt, and pretended I was pregnant, and danced for 2 hours to this music.
Why did you feel the need to pretend you were pregnant with this
I have no
music?
idea. I guess, I mean, obviously I intuited that I was, but I had no
Mm.
thought that I was pregnant. No thought. I don't know why I did that. So 18 months later, my kid's 9 months old. I have not listened to this music. I have not thought about this. And I find this cassette player, Van Vollenweider, Danish, I think. I put it into and she's playing in the corner of the room. And I put the
Mm-hmm.
music in. She drops her toys and tries to claw her way into the speaker because she remembered the bliss of that music. It was
Wow.
insane. It was like, oh my gosh, she was this big.
Hmm.
So they hear in hypnosis, you can take a child and you can recreate whole conversations that they heard while in the womb. So
That's
they hear
incredible.
startling noises, they feel the mother's stresses. So there's a lot that can happen. It has nothing to do with inherited. It's an experience that they've had
Mm.
in the womb. So that's a part of my intake is always what was the pregnancy like? What was going on? Yeah. And what was the birth like? Often their birth trauma. Skin rashes are separation. Was the baby separated at birth for how long?
Mm.
And when we lock in a symptom as an illness, it doesn't move forward. So I have just a startling case that showed me this.
I founded Low Tox Life in 2009, and as the community grew, I started to identify areas that people needed structured learning. And that is when the first e-course, Go Low Tox, was born in 2014. Since then, I've worked with scientists and health professionals to bring you low-cost courses to help you shortcut your goals with whatever you're challenged by right now. So whether you're new to going low tox and you'd love a framework and some really helpful suggestions across 22 different topics covering everyday life, or maybe you're working on an inflammation picture and you just want some help to calm the farm, whether you're on a fertility journey, either having trouble or wanting to optimize, we literally have courses for these and more. Head to lowtoxlife.com, hit the course tab, and enjoy.
So a woman brings in a little boy with molluscum contagiosum. Didn't even know what it was. I had to look it up. His little warts. It's just on one side of his body, which in German New Medicine means something. Our dominant side relates to partner or anybody that we're close to, other than non-dominant side is mother-child. So he had warts just on his partner side. And I'm thinking separation from somebody he's close to in healing. And I'm asking and asking and asking. And during the visit, his older brother is like helping him up on the table and bringing him, he's 5, this little boy, bringing him toys. And the dermatologist said, this is not treatable. He might grow out of it in a few years. Not too much we can do. So that's that story. And I'm looking at these children thinking, oh my gosh, what a lovely family, what a close sibling. So I'm asking and asking. Finally, I just went naturopathic, liver, adrenals, digestion for skin. And at the very end, the mother said, we had a custody battle for one of his siblings. Do you think that would? And I'm going, oh, here it comes. And the room's starting to, there's something that happens.
Feel different.
Yes,
Yeah.
scintillating. My hair's standing on end again. And I said, when did the custody battle end? End of August. When did the warts come? Beginning of September. And the mother got it. She just saw, click, because I've been telling her what I'm looking for and why. And she gets. So the kid is 5. He does not understand this. But the mother takes away now this thought that this is a disease and sees it as a pattern. So I said, oh, come back in a month. And 2 days later, I get the email. No, we don't need to come back. They're all gone. So the mother is holding, also for pets, we can hold our pets in hanging healing by thinking, oh my God, and I've seen this with my own cats. As soon as oh my gosh, this is a heal, it's gone the next day.
What is gone the next day? As in the cat was sick?
Yeah. But it was a healing sickness, and I'm kind of worried and I'm forgetting all my German medicine. And then I realized, oh, this is what's going on. And the cat just stuck for weeks. And as soon as I shift, the cat the cat shifts.
Isn't that
As soon as I
interesting
shift,
that
the child shifts.
even you who practices
Yes.
it
Oh,
can
absolutely.
momentarily think, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with my cat?"
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you're
I always
saying
tell
we
people that.
need to flip the switch and say, "Oh my gosh, what is my cat healing from right now?" Maybe.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
maybe because sometimes
maybe.
it's active.
Yeah.
So I had a little boy who was had cancer, and he had been given up. Basically, he was palliative. Mother was told that he was going to die, and was told the symptoms that would happen when he was going to pass. So she calls me. So we reframed it with German medicine, but she was still really scared. Totally understandable. But her fear was affecting the boy.
Mm.
So she called and said, he's got the symptoms, he's passing. I said, bring him. She was an hour and a half away. I said, bring him. I put him on my table and I worked with the mother. Howling, crying, just going right into the fear. Got through it. And she was Christian, so she has faith. Like you need to not be afraid of him dying.
Mm.
You're, it's fine if he dies in that bigger context. Yes, you can grieve, but you need to not do this. It's not helping him. So she got through it. She got to acceptance. I mean, it's a terrible work. She have to face, that loss.
Mm.
Got through it to her soul level, where really it is okay from a soul. We do not live here. Our home is on the other side. We come here to learn and grow. It is
Mm.
not that serious. We are made to take it serious, or we wouldn't have a world. We'd all be back on the other side. So we have
Yeah.
to believe that it's serious, right? So as
Mm.
soon as she got there, the little boy sat up. He was practically in a coma. And he's been well since. Been 2 years. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Hair's standing on end again.
Oh, goodness. This is bedtime for me as we record this, and my mind is going to be
Yeah.
swirling with all
No.
sorts of
I mean, you
dreams
can see
tonight.
why I'm so excited.
Mm.
And I mean, we have children we have lost. I want to be very honest about that.
Mm.
I mean, they were palliative. We didn't make anything any worse, but we weren't able to save them, except we did death work to help the family. And that changed everything for them.
Mm.
Helped the parents be better than okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I never charge for that. That's sacred work for me. I love doing death work. It
And
helps me.
yeah, I was going to say it feels like it's certainly something missing from the end of our physical lives for most
Well, our
people.
culture, our culture
Mm.
destroys the most precious, important part of our life when we're about to cross over.
Mm.
We destroy it, and I have great delight in rescuing that for people. I just did that for. We just lost a family member last week, and just
Oh, I'm
before
sorry.
I was able to do the death work that I do with him, and he looked at me and went, "Cool." Then all the siblings walked in, and we did it again with them, and the whole room lit up, and everything changed. And now it's planning his celebration of life is with so much happiness.
Because he literally
And
said
I can see him.
cool on the
See
way
him. He's
out.
doing so well because
Like,
now I
peace out.
see people on the
Uh-huh.
other side. So I can see him, and he's so happy. He's so peaceful.
Wow.
I always thought I was making that up until I went to visit one of my girlfriends who had lost her husband. I could see him sitting on the edge of the bed, and I'm thinking, I'm making this up. And then he turns to face me and he tells me something. And I took a leap of faith and told my girlfriend, well, I just heard him say this, thinking, oh my God, I'm making this up. And she burst into tears and said, that's the message that we've set, what we committed to bringing to each other after we passed. And then I realized that I'm not making this up, that I'm actually seeing people.
Incredible.
It happened when I lost my husband. That's when I started learning how to do that. I willed myself over to the other side to see him.
Was it
And then
scary when you made a connection the first
it's
time?
like seeing the person.
Mm,
It's quite vivid. It's very different than imagining. When you imagine, it's like just kind of a thought, but when you see them, it's more like a vision. Yeah. Then, I mean, that part of my life has been so exciting. I mean, I can just barely believe it because I grew up thinking this is all hooey, like the wishful thinking, like you're just making this up to make yourself feel better. We obviously just
mm.
disintegrate back into the earth.
Well, part of us becomes compost, but part of
Right.
us
Not the
doesn't.
main part of us.
Mm. And you
So
mentioned not being religious early on in our conversation. So, what is it that you see this other side, this transcendence to be?
oh, very I'm spiritual. Like a lot of
Mm.
people say that. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Yeah,
So
I,
I'm in
I
that
would
camp.
say the same for
But I like
myself.
religions. Like I can go
Mm.
into any church, mosque, tent. If there's a
Yeah.
religious ceremony, I'm in. I can
Mm.
feel it down to my
Well, you always
fingertips.
find something if you
Oh,
listen. There's always a
yeah.
beautiful story to take
Yeah, yeah,
meaning
yeah.
from. And I
Yeah.
agree. One of the best things we could ever have done at
Yeah.
school was we had this brilliant theologian, head of the religious department, and he was a gay guy as well. I mean, you couldn't make
Yes.
this stuff up. A nun, headmistress feminist, hires a gay theologian to be the head of RE,
Oh my
and we
goodness.
got to grow up in the presence of this incredibly progressive, accepting, incredible world where the focus was spirituality, where the focus was
Awesome.
commonality
Yeah.
and and mindfulness. And I just feel so grateful that that
Yeah.
was my experience of religion, because I know a lot of people have quite traumatic experiences,
Yes.
or
Yes.
quite dogmatic experiences or fundamental experiences and get stuck.
Yeah. And I have patients who are there, and I'm very careful not to confront that.
Of course.
People are holding that for a reason. So
Do you speak
again,
with your husband still now?
I'm not so much anymore. I've had a
It was a
relationship
while
since. I'm
ago.
not sure he has a
Yeah.
new relationship, but he's still there. I have a
Does he butt in on your life? Like, dude,
no, but
I've moved on.
what happened is that in my spiritual practice, I lost a woman about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. No, 6 years ago. And she showed up in my meditation as vivid, like more vivid than in the flesh. I felt like I could just reach out and touch her. And she
Mm,
just was in my meditation. She was there every day. So I went and talked to priests and I would talk to, like, should I be asking her to move on? Should I be smudging? Like, what do I do? I hadn't experienced that before. And they went, I don't know. So I thought, okay, well, you can go anytime, but if you want to stay and meditate with me, you're fine. And then gradually now I have a group of people who still want to work with me. So every day I touch in with them and we meditate together and we grow together. So as I grow, I feed, I share what I've experienced. So now it's actually a very profound time. So I have lots of people. So my husband is there, my sister is there, various other people are there, and yeah. So it's interesting. I have this. I call it my healing circle. So my healing circle on the other side, and I serve these people. And we help each other on that level. So, and recently, I mean, if we really want to get out there, I was doing death work with a young man, well, young to me. He was 51
mm.
and he had given up and said, I'm letting go. I said, great, I'll help you. And we had so much fun. And he said, oh, when I come back, I really want to work. I want to work with you. I said, well, why don't we work together with you on the other side? So after he passed, I contacted one of the best mediums in the world, Laura Traplin, and said, I want to connect with this patient. Didn't tell her anything about him, and invited my colleague who had also worked with him
Hmm.
to join in. And so she gets him. She says he's got a southern accent. He's this tall. He looks like this. This is what his disease was. This is what his personality is like. My colleagues just her eyes are wide. And so then we start a conversation. I say, his name is Brooke. So Brooke, you know, do you want to give us a tool? So he gave us a meditation to use on this side. And so I started using it with group and with our little retreats. And at one retreat, I put a cushion for him. I asked if everybody was not too weird about this, like if this was okay. Everybody went, great. So we had Brooke sitting beside me. And so I'm feeling him beside me, and we're doing his meditation. And all of a sudden I hear him sobbing because he's broken through to where he needed to have broken through when he was here to have healed. And
Oh,
he got it. I've heard him break through on the other side using his own meditation. Now I don't feel him very much at all. It's like he was able to kind of move on. So for me, this is kind of growing and growing. And it's like the whole story is wild. I mean,
well,
you
it's
couldn't make
like,
it up. The
you
whole story
know,
of how I'm learning this. It's like, whoa.
yeah. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's reactive, what I'm hearing, but you are acting in response to what is being shown to you to
Yeah.
use and to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Wow.
come from a family who's very open to new things.
Mm.
My grandmother was very spiritual. So she used to teach me, Eastern spiritual principles. And I had my first spiritual experiences coming home from her. I had a 3-day samadhi as a teenager,
What's a
which
samadhi?
samadhi is an enlightenment experience.
Ah.
Yeah. So I've had
Oh,
several of
samadhi.
those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. And what predisposed me to that was being dissociated, was being so mentally ill. So when you're
Mm.
dissociated, you're actually more predisposed to feeling the others, to feeling spiritual things. So it's almost like on a physical level, the body's trying to help us with all these symptoms. And even on a mental level, we get gifts through our traumas. So it's pretty amazing. I think yeah,
Wow. It's
everything
almost
has it.
like your experience as a teenager opened a few little
Yeah,
portals. And even though
absolutely.
that was an extremely unwell, in inverted
Yes.
commas, time,
Yeah. It was
it was
still
planting seeds for,
absolutely. Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure you and I would have been burnt at the stake once upon a time for having this conversation and broadcasting it,
Absolutely.
but
Yes.
I'm very glad that we have.
I
Yeah.
know. It's great. That's something that most alternative people, practitioners, that whole community that we need to work through. We're feeling maybe attacked and unsafe. Because being German, I've had nightmares about the camps since I've been small. And how society might not be safe and how it might not be what we think. I mean, my great uncle was one of the few people who stood up to the German regime with Albert Einstein together, actually. They tried to,
What?
he was a family friend. Yeah, my father came over from Germany with a letter of recommendation from Albert Einstein. So when COVID hit, I was in absolute panic and I was forced to work through it. And the voice came, meditate half an hour more, meditate half an hour, to where I was doing 1 hour and a half, and totally got through that feeling of I'm us and them. There's no longer an us and them of alternative and mainstream. We're all people and I just want to serve. We are remedies in our essence. I just taught in Oklahoma for 2 days, 7 classes to a graduating class of naturopaths. And before every class, we did 10 minutes of meditation and inner healing exercises, because this material is so much better if we build ourselves. By the end of it, we were like a room of light.
I've been reflecting on this polarized world and this us and them, engineered
Mhm.
us and them, because it is engineered. It's a fabrication,
It's not useful.
not useful,
Not
and
useful.
also doesn't have us focusing on the system we could all be working towards
Yep,
improving from our
exactly.
own little corners.
When we,
And
yeah, when
and
we're
so that,
afraid, we
yes.
resonate. We lock it in. It's the same as having a disease, and we're afraid and we think it's a disease, we lock it in. Instead of seeing this as as a transition, as a growth process in our society, we're
Yeah.
locking in. Sorry, I interrupted you again.
No, it's okay. It's all relevant. What I come back to time and again is how can I be better for people's nervous systems?
Yes. Yes.
Just with anything.
Yep.
I can still hold space for what I find to be unjust and untrue. That's fine. But not at the expense of being mean to people. And so I've noticed in this reflection, I choose wonderful people to highlight rather than to judge people. Just trying to find the ways to go, wow, this is so cool. You don't have to hate on each other. Look at this guy. He's showing you he's anxious about all the hate he's seeing instead of these people are hating on people and they're bad. Like, that doesn't help, right?
Just feeds it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I love the questions you sent. You sent me quite challenging questions, and I love that because you encase them in positive language. I just was so thrilled to see that because it moves everything forward because these questions do need to be answered and looked at and addressed, with German New Medicine, as in with many things. I just love that you were tackling them in such a positive way.
Well, I don't think that's really worth, trying to have gotcha moments on people all the time when one could learn something. One will always learn something with curiosity. Catherine, thank you so much. What a
Too.
fantastic
Oh my gosh, I could
exploration.
talk to you for hours,
I
days.
know, I know. I'm like, okay, it's 10:30. I really should get to bed.
I have a patient just about now.
Oh, okay. So I will leave you to
Maybe.
do that. And I look forward to just exploring this for myself. I know our listeners will as well. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you for joining us in listening to this week's show. If you're not already subscribed or following the show on whatever platform you listened, please do that now. It helps enormously in terms of getting this show out to more people. Another way you can connect and support the work we do so that we can support you in your low tox life is join us in the Low Tox Club. You'll get access to amazing member masterclasses where we invite some of our best show guests for a live Q&A with members. You also have great shopping discounts from low tox businesses and honestly, the nicest low tox community Facebook group that exists on the internet. I do hope you join us there. It costs just the price of a coffee a month on average. Head to lowtoxlife.com, hit the Explore tab, and Low Tox Club is the first option there. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.